Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Extra Attacker podcast for the last podcast before all the games are done for the entire 2024-2025 season.
Wait, really?
By
Okay,
next
yeah.
Saturday, one way or another,
You're right.
all games will be done. Because should
Where
things
does
go
the
to
time
Game
go?
7, that will be Friday.
That's Friday, yeah. Where does the time go? I don't know. The 20th just feels like it's 3 weeks away. It's not. We're
It
going to
isn't.
pretend I knew that, and I didn't look like an idiot to start.
You never look like an idiot to start. Don't worry.
Oh, thanks. You doing, sir?
I'm doing well. My voice is starting to come back a little bit thanks to the smoke around here
Good,
being
good.
gone. I wrecked it after game 1, and then it just
Yeah,
kept
you
getting
were.
worse. Like in the next few days, it was getting worse, and I'm like, I'm not even talking. What's happening? It was the
Yeah.
smoke here in Edmonton. It's just going crazy. My
So
voice is
what,
still not back to 100%, but I'm good enough. I can talk.
what's on fire this summer? I mean, you guys have a fire every summer.
The woods. There's just
Okay. So it's
people
out in
just
the middle
love
of the woods.
starting forest fires here all over the place, and then they get started in BC, and then in Saskatchewan, and then in so it's just people love to watch Alberta burn.
It's fair. It's fair. Speaking of, I have a story I'll tell you off stream if you remind me about it.
Okay,
About starting fires. We're not going to put that out into the world.
we did start the fire.
I started nothing. But anyway, hockey has happened.
And because
Um,
we want to, we're going to talk about things that aren't the Stanley Cup Finals to start. Even though,
yes,
because they're still processing, they're still loading, there's still a little work to be done in them. So
it's true. It's true. That is what we call in show business burying the lead. We're gonna put you guys came for the coverage of the finals. We're gonna put that right at the end, because then you have to stay for all of the other crap that we talk about.
is true. Is very true. So what is happening that isn't the Stanley
So
Cup
what is
Finals?
happening? Well, we have
Nothing.
a number of things. Nothing huge. I mean, obviously, all eyes are on the Stanley Cup final. We do have a couple other things going on. I think we'll start with this one here, just kind of being one of the older line items here. In news that
Got him.
surprises absolutely no one, Dallas Stars have fired coach Pete DeBoer.
Oilers wrecking more teams, causing all kinds of failures and collapses.
Oh
Dallas
yeah,
is
oh
our
yeah.
newest victim.
Dallas is absolutely the newest victim, because I found some other stuff out while I was prepping for today's show. We talked last time about the big deal between Jake Ottinger, Pete DeBoer, the fight non-fight they got in as Ottinger was pulled from the last game of that series against Edmonton. Pete DeBoer's post game throwing Ottinger under the bus, saying, oh, I'm not saying anything, but he has lost 6 of 7 games against Edmonton. I'm like, yeah, that's the way you treat your star goalie, you friggin' idiot.
Yeah, that's how you treat a franchise player you just signed for 8 by 8.5.
Yeah. I did see. I don't know why this just popped into my mind, and 99.9% of the time that Paul Bissonnette speaks, I just tune him out because he's obnoxious and full of crap. But I did see him talking on somebody's podcast this week. It wasn't his normal one. It was somebody else's. But Pete DeBoer wanted to get fired because he was only making like $3 million or $4 million, and a bunch of coaches just got signed for like 6.5, 7, and he thinks he can be up there. And so he's like, if I get myself fired now, then I can go somewhere else and get a payday now instead of having to play out the last year or two of my contract as the head coach.
He only had 1 year left. He was he was going into the
Yeah.
final year, and enough players were saying some things about problems they had with Pete. Good old Petey.
Yeah. It makes me wonder. I usually like entertaining the conspiracy theories because they're funny, but I usually don't actually put stock in them. But this one seems to make a little bit of sense. Because he just went off the deep end, and he should know better than to be throwing everybody under the bus. But yeah, he did. But that's not the only problem in Dallas, my friend.
Wait, there are
You
more.
want to
I didn't know
celebrate?
about more.
There are there are more. If you want to celebrate a little bit more at Edmonton destroying Dallas, a couple days ago on the 10th,
I
it
actually
was
really
rumored
like
that they're trying to
Dallas.
ship Jason Robertson. Yeah, they're trying to ship Jason Robertson out of town. That was my
What?
response. That was the hockey community's response. Hold on a minute. There is no way. Elliot Friedman then comes out and says, yeah, no, that's real because he's expensive.
I'm too much in my bubble. See, I got my aluminum foil cap on just to block out all the noise to focus on the Stanley Cup Finals here in
Yeah.
Edmonton. So I did not hear. Wow,
Yeah.
Robo.
I didn't hear that until literally like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. Like I said, when I was prepping for this. So they're trying to ship him out of town. This was as of the 10th, which would have been Tuesday of this week. Then as of the 13th, Friday the 13th, which was yesterday, wink wink. Jason Robertson is no longer on the trade block.
Okay.
So they've pulled back efforts is the quote that has been given. Which to me says they're not shopping him, but he's still available if the right price is named. Now, the situation that they're in, they have 7 roster spots that they have to fill, and they have under $5 million left open on their cap. So their first thought was if we can ship Robertson out, that'll free up a bunch of money. And then, okay, well, how about we don't ship out Robertson? So what we're looking now, Marchment, Lyubushkin, and Dumba are all not only available, but actively being shopped. They're trying to get rid of all 3 of those, bring in replacement level players with far cheaper contracts so that they can keep, the quote was potentially retain 2 of their 3 main pending UFAs in Jamie Benn, Matt Duchene, Mikael Granlund. So they're going to ship out Mason Marchment, Lyubushkin, and Dumba. They're going to ship out Marchment, Lyubushkin, and Dumba just to try to keep 2 out of Benn, Duchene, and Granlund. That's the cap hell that Dallas finds themselves in. The question becomes...
That's what happens when you get Rantanen and have to sign him for $1 bajillion.
Exactly. So we see this every single year with some team in some sport where cap hell catches up to you. You can only kick the can down the road so far. The question in my mind, because I find them in a really, really tough spot. On one hand, they still made the Western Conference Finals this year. Was that 3 or 4 years in a row?
3 in a
They're
row.
still a
4
very,
of the
very
last
good
5.
team. That's what it was, yeah. So still a very good team, very high-performing team. But necessity is telling them that they have to start dumping assets. If you're Dallas, let's just do the bare minimum to get under the cap and hope we can still compete with replacement level players? Or do you just swallow it and just say at this point, if we have to start dumping assets, let's just let's just commit and let's do this thing. And you go into a rebuild. What do you think?
I submit to you, Your Honor.
I can
neither.
I see pros and cons on both sides. Okay.
And now,
let's hear it.
allow me to shed a little light. Do I have my nerd glasses?
Uh-oh.
Where are they? Here they are. Okay. So, Your Honor, if we were to break down the numbers here for a minute, so they've been running into this trouble because for the past 4 or 5 years, the cap has gone up as a straight line. Here, I'll draw a line. Well, that's off. Never mind. I will draw it in the air. So we've got a line. We've got a line. It's straight. It's straight. It's just a straight line. That's the capping. Okay. And so the Dallas Stars have been increasingly, as their stars have been getting better, like Ottinger, like Heiskanen, like Robertson, and now like Rantanen. They got closer and closer to that line, right? So we got the line, and they've been coming up, and now they're hitting that line. But over the next few years, the cap is going to be going up. The line's going up. But not enough this year for them to keep everyone. So this next year is going to be just a little bit of crisis management of them doing a little bit of make do with what you have, find some things, give some new guys some opportunities that are cheap, and then in 2 years, even 3, Then you bring in the pieces. You see who's doing well. You see who's available, and you show that you've still got a competent organization. You keep the key pieces, and then you add in the extra once you have the room again in a couple of years when the cap problems aren't as choking. So that is my third alternative option, Your Honor.
That's fair. That's fair. That is fair.
Well, what happened?
That was so bad. No, I mean that is a fair point. If you can just tread water for 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, you free up a little bit more space. I don't hate that idea. To throw it in a little bit more complicated. Let's see. Yeah, his extension expires next summer, and he has a backloaded contract. So he's currently at 7.75 annually. His qualifying offer next year is going to be 9.3. So that's an additional 1.5. This is Robertson.
Oh.
So this is an additional $1.5 million just to keep him. Not even talking about the rest of them.
That's fine.
In my opinion, I mean, 9.3 million for Robertson, you easily do that. But I'm also not in the situation where I have 7 roster spots to fill with under 5 mil. So that 1.5 million, which on a normal day would be a no-brainer, that's kind of a big deal now. And so I don't hate your theory, but it's going to be real tough for them to do. And I mean, Dallas fans, just bury your head in the sand now, because if that's the route they take, it's going to be rough for the next year or two.
Yeah. Because yeah, so that's their projected, because
yeah,
they've got the Rantanen, Sagan. See, the Sagan one is the one that's really hurting them, in my mind, because he's getting paid $10 million. Hintz is fine.
Yeah.
I love the Hintz one. Wyatt Johnson.
Yep.
And that's another one, because that's hitting them right next. That's just hitting them. And
I think
the Jason Robertson, that's not till 2 years from now. They don't have to worry about how much they're paying him. So they're eligible to re-sign him next year, starting July 1st.
Yep.
But they don't have to worry about.
And they're going to have to try to.
Well, yeah, but and the thing is, but he's so high value that they don't have to worry about him getting offer sheeted. No one's gonna do a $10 million offer sheet, right? That's just you have to give up like 3 or 4 first round picks.
Yeah,
and then like a few others, so it's not there. Mason Marchment, that's fine. They're really running into the so top heavy. But I feel like you want to keep Jamie Benn and Matt Duchene if you can. Though Duchene, they're both just so old. Maybe you let go of Duchene, but that's your leadership.
I mean, even Granlund at 33, I don't think it would be. I mean,
Granlund.
I'm not saying it would be good to let them all go, but I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world if you lose all 3 of those guys. I think you can work around that.
I mean, Granlund's still really good. I really like Granlund.
No, 100%, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I think just looking at it here, it's I agree with you. It's that Wyatt Johnson contract, kind of an albatross right there, 8.5. I think he more than has the potential to meet that, but that's just a lot now. So
paying a 22-year-old 8.5, that's insane.
Exactly. He can absolutely live up to that contract for sure. No knock on him. But yeah, he's a 22-year-old baby, and they gave him that money real quick. So that's hurting him.
Yeah, well, they'll be
top at
8.2.
Casey, hold on. Go back down to the goalies. Did I see DeSmith only making 1? Oh, yeah, they're easy. Goaltending, they don't even have to even think about looking at. They're good there. So that helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Dallas does it here.
Yeah,
but, look over the next year or two. They're going to be having some fun. So, yeah. Somebody that I think is definitely going into rebuild mode, though, is the New York Rangers.
That is a great question.
They're punting. So we know they just sent off Captain Jacob Trouba to Anaheim this year. They also just sent Chris Kreider this week to the Ducks for a prospect and a pick.
How did they get 2 players to agree to go to the Ducks?
Yeah.
That I can't believe it.
That plus some of the other smaller name moves that they've made throughout the year, plus the fact that both Panarin and Zibanejad have been named all season as potential trade bait pieces. I mean,
Well, especially
do we just
Panarin this
accept the
next
fact
year.
that, yeah, do we just accept at this point New York is going into a full rebuild? I mean, we're only one season out of them winning the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how, at this point, I don't know how they avoid it. It looks to me like that's what they're doing. That's wild to me. Yeah, they missed the playoffs this year. They needed to make some changes. But a complete rebuild, that's wild to me.
This is just looking at this. Yeah, because they traded Chris Kreider to swap
Yep.
picks as in the first round of this draft, as well as have
Yep.
a couple more picks sent. But
It was 1-for-1, so they just upgraded their one pick and got a prospect out of Anaheim.
like
for Kreider.
what is
What
caused this, man? And yeah, I mean Panarin's huge because he's going to be on the last year of his contract. They may not move him till the trade deadline,
Sure.
but like
I'd be surprised if he didn't go.
But they can't. They just signed Shesterkin.
That's the weird thing and the weird situation they're in. They're doing
like
everything
Boston.
that tells me they're going into full rebuild, but we don't want to get rid of Shesterkin, so let's just give him a blank check.
It's like Boston, man.
Yeah.
The Rangers and Boston are just so similar, and what they're like, we're tanking, but we're not rebuilding.
Yep.
I don't
looking
understand
back.
it.
Yeah, I'm looking back through their entire season here. You know, trading a pick away for Carson Soucy from Vancouver. Okay, that's whatever. They sent Riley Smith to Vegas for Brendan Brisson and a pick. Like, interesting. Okay. Kreider, to be fair, was on the IR twice this year. Sent Ryan Lindgren, Jimmy Vesey, and Hank Kempf to Colorado for 2 prospects and 2 picks. So all year, that's kind of what they've been doing. You know, you had the JT Miller trade there. They took him back, sent a couple players out.
Wait, it's not
like,
looking like they did
here?
swap the first overall picks because
No,
New York
not first overall, not first round. Yeah, they traded
round, yeah.
Kreider in their 4th round pick for Kerry Terrence and the 3rd round. All they did was move up 1 round on their pick and got Kerry Terrence, who's just a prospect out of Anaheim.
How did Anaheim get away with that? For Chris Kreider?
Mm-hmm.
A 50-goal scorer?
That's what I'm saying. There is no other explanation that makes sense in my mind other than New York is trying to rebuild. And they're going full on with it. Send you the page for it there if you want to bring it up. But like,
Victor
there is no
was traded today as well.
Yep. To Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah. Utah sent him out as part of that Shea Weber contract dump to Chicago, and then Chicago dumped him off to Boston today. So I did see that one.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I didn't think this was as big a trade because I thought, they just swapped places in the first round. Like New York goes to where Anaheim was, but I was like, wait, no, yeah, they traded their first. So, like,
yeah.
What?
So Kerry Terrence has never played in an NHL game. 20 years old, center.
This is a cap dump then.
Yeah.
This pick isn't even good. This isn't even a good pick.
But they went from round 4 to round 3. So they went up a little bit. But that's what I'm saying. Let's get rid of Chris Kreider for a prospect and going up a round in a draft, and you're not even going up into the first round or second round. Like, but there is no other explanation.
But the gap between this 4th round pick of Anaheim and 3rd round pick of Toronto isn't great because Toronto's going to be near the end of the 3rd round, and Anaheim's going to be at the like what?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's Anaheim just got their own 4th round pick back too. That's so silly.
If anybody
oh my gosh.
can come up with an explanation that makes sense other than the fact that this is just New York Rangers rebuild, let us know. But I mean, I've been looking into this for 2 days now, and I cannot come up with any reason other than that why they do it.
That gives them so much. They have $15 million in cap room.
Yeah.
Good golly.
And even if they kept Kreider, he's at 6.5. So take that off of the 15, you're still looking at $8.5 million. So it's not like they were right up against the cap. So like
this makes no sense.
What are we doing? Yeah. Make it make sense.
Because the stats: 22 goals, 39, 36, 52, 20. Like this guy. Yeah, I had a bad year this last year technically, but
what is that? 5 years?
Yeah, he was also injured a bunch, and was on the Rangers team that was just everyone was sucking. So it's I don't know. I don't get it.
Looking at those stats the last 5 years, if you really hated Chris Kreider and wanted to just crap all over him, worst case you're putting him at a high to mid second liner over those last 5 years.
Dude, Anaheim.
So what are they doing?
Anaheim's looking not terrible. Like they're not that far away from being good. Like, and they've got money to spend this offseason.
I was gonna say, look at that big number up there.
Troy Terry, Chris Kreider, Alex Killorn, Trevor Zegras. Like, if you can get Zegras going again, Ryan Strome,
Frank Petrano, I've always thought is very underrated. Cutter Gautier's been picking it up.
Like you've got Jacob Trouba now, as your number
Brad
one
Koguda's
defenseman,
killing it.
And you need another goalie, but to go with John Gibson. But you likely re-sign Lucas Dostal because he's been.
I was gonna say Dostal, he's been killing it.
He's been excellent, so you just re-sign him.
Yeah.
I'd love to see someone offer sheet Dostal. I think that'd be a really smart move by someone.
Oh yeah.
Would be to do it because this tandem of John Gibson Dostal, like having Gibson there has really allowed Dostal to develop, because when Dostal's struggling, you just put Gibson in, and then when Dostal's hot, you run there, and it's just some good mentorship, good balance.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
But just again with my Utah fan bias, I'd love to see Utah offer sheet him. Yeah. If we could have him as our Lucas Dostal and Karel Vejmelka as our 1-2 tandem.
Now you guys are gonna be offer sheeting Bouchard.
I could actually see it. That's the best part. We could use an offensive defenseman.
Now
Edmonton is not going to let him go, but I could see us at least trying.
But we haven't re-signed. We have to sign him. We haven't renewed it yet. Okay. So he technically is, but yeah, you'd have to be doing. I gotta look. Now I'm really curious. Offer sheet compensation. There we go. Okay. Here we go. So if you were to go, this is likely the range you'd be going. So 2 first-round picks,
yeah, probably.
a second round, and a third round.
Worst case scenario, even if you bumped him down 1, that's still a first, a second, and a third.
What does it mean, eligible teams? Picking have not met. So Edmonton couldn't offer sheet someone in that range They're in that range. Interesting.
Interesting.
But
I didn't know that was
look,
even a thing. I'll have to do some more research into that one then.
yeah. Well, it's just about what picks you have available to do this, right? Because last year
Oh, sure.
When St. Louis offer sheeted the whatchamacallits, the Holloway and Broberg, they
Yeah.
actually had to trade for one or two of their picks
To get those picks.
to be able to then submit an offer sheet. So they did that
Okay.
and then did that. So you could see it coming, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it."
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Are you
Okay.
excited
Cool.
for the offseason yet? Like, there's
No.
just so much wild stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, if we.
And to be fair, this offseason may not be any more crazy than any other, but like
Yeah. Well,
this will
you've
be
got.
like the most in depth that I'm actually looking into things like this. So I'm stoked for this offseason.
Well, if we look at
Bowen
top
Byram, yeah, he's a big name right now too.
our top 10 RFAs, you got Dobson,
Yeah,
Bouchard, Miller, Byram, Filardi, whoever the heck Cody Glass is, Alexander Romanov, Capo Caco, Nicholas Haig, and Kurashev.
Kurashev.
Top 10. Then you got Ryan McLeod. Yeah. Jack
Hey, Edmonton want to get Costin back?
McBain.
McBain.
You think Edmonton
I don't
will
know.
let?
I don't think I don't even remember. What did I just say? Go back to the
I
last
don't know.
page. Oh no, it was Costin.
Oh, no.
Clem Costin. Edmonton, go get him back. Just bring the band back together.
Clem Costin, players like Clem Costin are a dime a dozen. Like he was great. People loved him, but the thing is, you can find players like him.
Yeah. There's nothing that he provides that you can't find elsewhere. So
yeah, well, especially if we have to pay. We can't afford him for $2 million right now.
no, nobody needs that. Yeah.
No. Okay, well that'll be fun.
Wild
and
stuff
then,
in New York here.
Yeah. Is there any word on if Brett Burns is playing or retiring? Do we know?
Say somebody asked him, he said he wasn't sure. Let's see. Yeah, he has not indicated he's planning to retire, likely to enter free agency on July 1st. Mentioned in his exit interview he wanted to see how he bounced back physically after an injury and surgery.
Okay. You know who is retiring, though?
Me. Who's retiring?
TJ Oshie.
Yep. That's another one I don't know that many people are going to be surprised by. I mean, he missed the entire season this year with that back injury. I mean, he's not getting any younger. So I don't know that anybody's surprised by that one, but good career for TJ Oshie. It's a pretty straightforward note. I got nothing really to discuss past that. Caps fan, sorry to see him go, but kind of expected at that point.
What's interesting, though, is I didn't see on this list, I don't remember seeing Sam Bennett on the list of UFAs.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Which is odd because he needs to be re-signed.
Yeah, which is weird to me. Going, we'll give you that segue. It was a good one. But going into this note here, we know that he's kind of one of the bigger name free agents. So obviously you've got the Mitch Marner. It's kind of the number one everybody's looking at. But everybody's expecting Sam Bennett to be up there and to be going somewhere. Paul Maurice was asked about it during the game 3 on the bench. What do you think of Sam Bennett? He's great. We love having him around. Oh, well, how do you feel about him being a free agent? Oh, he's got dengue fever. Like, I hate the Panthers. I hate Paul Maurice, but that was probably the best on-ice interview I've ever heard. Like, yeah. Dude is funny. I'll give it to him. But he starts trashing Sam Bennett. He's broken and he's old and he's injured and just, joking around. But yeah, he's been expected to be gone this season. He is one of the bigger name free agents. Like you said, he's kind of quietly started dropping off of some of these lists. But per James Myrtle of The Athletic, there's, quote, virtually no teams are expecting that he's actually hitting free agency.
Well, why would you let a guy like that go? They've got 19,
I agree.
Like Florida's got 19 million in cap space next season.
Yeah, and I agree with
They
you.
don't overpay
The
for
interesting
anyone.
thing, the interesting note for me is if you're right in the middle of a Stanley Cup final, you usually don't worry about those. It's like, hey, why don't we just focus on what we're doing? We'll
Oh yeah,
talk
you
about it
don't
next
sign
week
till
after we're
after.
done. They've been actively negotiating this contract, and the current deal is looking at an 8 by 64. So 8 years, 64 million, 8 million a year. And what was that number? 19 million up there. So they still have a lot of money to play with. So it looks like, again, nothing is confirmed. This is all still in the rumor stage of things. But he's starting to drop off some of these free agent lists. So I'm starting to think maybe this is a little bit more than just a rumor. And there's some people that know things that we don't. So it's interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it was just people are getting hyped because he hadn't been signed yet, but
And that could be.
They won't let him. The big one is, will they re-sign Aaron Ekblad?
Yeah.
And if they do, for how much?
I'd love to see Aaron Ekblad get signed to a 10-year prison sentence and never have to worry about him again. He's this playoffs. I mean, I'm starting to think he might be dirtier than Bennett is. Like, this dude's just ridiculous.
Really? No.
Some of the crap that he's been doing, dude.
No.
I don't want to lead too much into that. We'll
Bennett.
get to this series, but
if you want to debate about someone dirtier than Bennett, then we can bring up Marchand. But I don't think Ekblad.
No love lost for Marchand right now.
I don't even think Ekblad's top 3 on the Panthers.
Ooh, all right.
I don't even think
I'll start taking notes and pointing it out when he does stuff.
I'm not, but I'm not saying that because he's not dirty. I'm just saying that he's not top 3 on the Panthers.
Sure.
Like when you've got Marchand, when you've got Marchand and Kachuk, you got Marchand and Kachuk on the team too.
And Bennett,
you got Bennett, Marchand. Yeah, like I'm sorry, I don't think you're making the top 3 with those names.
That's a perfectly fair argument.
Like I'm not trying to downplay this dirtiness. Definitely is.
Barkov's been pulling a lot of crap this series too. Let's see, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Lundell, Rodriguez.
It's just what you do.
Greer has been very good at just pissing people off. That's been interesting to see.
You even got Sergey flopping all over the place.
For real. It's getting bad. Anyway, we're not there yet. We got one more note and then we can get there. Jonathan Toews, you ever heard of that guy?
Love that man.
Yeah, he's coming back. He has missed the last 2 years with some inflammatory problems due to long COVID. Missed 2 seasons, and said, "Hey, I want to come back." And I was very surprised that the top 3 teams that are going to go after somebody that old that hasn't played in 2 years and dealing with respiratory inflammation disease: Colorado, Tampa Bay, and Winnipeg,
and maybe Edmonton. A manifest.
Could be.
Got to manifest.
See, I'm sure there are more teams interested. These are kind of the top 3 that I've been seeing.
Yeah, but it's
surprising to me. See, I don't want him. I'm not saying he doesn't have anything in him. I'm not saying I don't like him, but again, an old guy who hasn't played in 2 years, let him go prove himself, and then
he's
we'll look
perfect for the Oilers. That's the type of player we get.
You're not wrong.
If they're old and or have been injured for a while, come to us.
You're not wrong.
That, or if you're looking for a second chance.
You're not wrong. But yeah, it'll be another one to be watching here. Jonathan Toews coming back.
Now let's get
obviously
to some awards.
Yes, awards. Hart Trophy. We discussed all the nominations a couple weeks ago,
and I was right.
I'm a little bit surprised. I'm not saying I disagree, but I am a little bit surprised purely because it's the same thing with baseball. Pitchers kind of just don't get considered for MVP, and being a pitcher is a strike against you. I feel like being a goalie is a strike against you.
Strike against you. Good. Good one.
I planned that one. Planned it all out.
Yeah, you did.
But yeah, Hart Trophy goes to Connor Hellebuck over Nikita Kucherov, Leon Draisaitl. So I
Yeah,
was slightly surprised. Again, not saying he doesn't deserve it.
that's who
but
I said
I
was
just
gonna win. But
yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
wanted Leon.
Yep, Norris Trophy, best all-around defenseman. Cale Makar wins it over Quinn
Best
Hughes and Zach
all
Werenski.
around.
Yeah,
Definitely not offensive.
Yeah. Let's be real. But Makar over Hughes or Werenski, I don't think you could have gone wrong with any of them. I made the case. I think it should have been Zach Werenski. I still 100% think that that's the case. I think Colorado would have been.
Makar got it because he scored 30 goals.
Well, yeah, but again, fine. I see that, and that's why. But again, I think Colorado would have been okay without Makar more than Columbus would have been a dumpster fire without Werenski. I think he was more valuable to them than Makar was to Colorado, but I don't get a vote, so I guess it doesn't matter.
But it's not the most valuable defenseman. It's not that. If it was most valuable defenseman, yes, Werenski gets it. But it's for the best defenseman.
And what does best mean?
It means
I think you can but you can quantify that in so many different ways. That's the problem.
Well, then let me boil it down to this.
Goals are more important, and I think assists are more important, and then the next guy thinks the blocks are more important or whatever, you know?
But let me put it like this then. Who would you rather have on your team today? Cale Makar or Zach Werenski?
Oh, Cale Makar, easy.
And there's your answer.
Fair.
Best defenseman.
You can't argue that. Fair.
Yeah. Was Werenski incredibly more valuable to his team than Cale Makar was? Yeah. But also, who's on Cale Makar's team? Who's on Zach Werenski's team? It is. If you're gonna measure it based off of that,
the two places. Yeah, swap the two places, and Makar would have been better than Werenski for Columbus than Werenski would have been for Colorado. So I can't disagree with you on that.
Yeah,
can't disagree at all. I mean, that's a very fair point. But
I would have loved for Werenski to win, but with Makar having the season he did, being the first defenseman in how long to score 30 goals, and just he's also really good defensively. So it's like I'm okay.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with it. Like at least the three defensemen this year. At least the three defensemen this year are actually capable of playing defense really well, unlike Erik Karlsson.
Yeah. No, I can, I've got zero problem with Makar winning it. I'm not trying to take that away from him. I just think this is one of the awards, if not the award, that I think was probably one of the harder ones to come up with. But
yeah.
Anyway, Selke for the best defensive forward. Alexander Barkov wins that over Cirelli and Reinhart. I can tell you're excited about that. I was just upset 2 Panthers. Here's the hard part. I by no means am I saying. Yeah, I'm not saying that we should artificially lock teams out and you can only have one represent and you can't have two per. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's boring when there's 2 from one team and there's only 3 finalists, I'm not saying that there needs to be a rule against it. I just wish it didn't happen. But anyway, your favorite, Kynan's got a little bit of an issue with this one. Calder Trophy for the Rookie of the Year.
I more just like it because of Cole Caulfield's reaction to it. So what before we go into it, what have they been doing with the awards this year, Jeff? How have they been letting the winners know that they've won?
So that is a good point. If anybody hasn't been seeing it, you need to go watch some of these videos. But the NHL has been putting out these videos, and I've seen like 3 or 4 of them. I think they're really cool. Mm-hmm. But they'll one of them, who I don't remember which one won it. And if you remember, don't say the name because I don't think we've gotten to it yet. But somebody won it, and Johnny Gaudreau's wife presented it to him and surprised him at his house. Hellebuck was out on the lake fishing, and his family got the trophy, and Dad handed it to him. Like, so they've just been doing really cool stuff like that, and surprising these guys with it, and then filming it and putting it. I think they're really well done videos. They've been really cool to watch.
Yeah.
So if you're missing those, go watch those for sure.
Yeah, they're being all sneaky and being like, "Oh yeah, come to this thing that's for this other thing.
Yeah.
Definitely not
Yeah.
for you to get a trophy." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And then they come and it's like, "Surprise, you get a trophy." And
as much as I hate Barkov, I don't know if you saw that one, but that one was cool. Like they're just in a team meeting.
I saw a little bit of it. Yeah.
Okay, so they're in a team meeting, and I guess he does a lot with like the kids cancer institute locally or whatever. So they had like 5 or 6 of the kids that he knows really well come from the hospital and present him with the trophy at the facility. Like that was heartwarming for me, as much as he's just scum of the earth. But yeah, I digress.
Yeah. So for Rookie of the Year, which went to Lane Hudson, as I predicted, as well, over Wolf and Celebrini. They had this nice big dinner with his family and some other people. I think some of his teammates or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Cole Caulfield then posted, it was like, "I can't believe I wasn't invited to this. What the heck?" So I'm like, justice for Cole. Why wasn't Caulfield invited? What the heck? Like, wait a stiff, he's good buddy teammates, blah, blah. I don't actually know if they're good friends, but I'm assuming so when Caulfield's like, why wasn't I invited to this? Yeah. I can't believe I wasn't invited. So, Caulfield, it's all about him. And I can't believe that he was stiffed for this to be a part of it. So, how dare the NHL? Terrible people.
We'll have to make some T-shirts. Justice for Cole Caulfield.
Justice for Cole Caulfield.
Yeah. Lane Hudson won that one. Once the season got started, that really wasn't a huge surprise. But I remember at the beginning of the season, we I don't think either of us even gave him a second look because it was going to be Mitchkov and Celebrini fighting each other for it. So.
And then Wolf was like, "Hey, bud."
Yeah. Dustin Wolf almost real good.
I'm gonna almost get my team to the playoffs by myself.
Yeah. Jack Adams, head coach of the year. I know a little bit of something. There's a little bit of something about that. Boston getting that every other year and then firing their award-winning coaches. Idiots.
If you don't win it, if you're not gonna win it, you gotta get fired. That's just the way it goes.
It's true. Spencer Carberry, the Washington Capitals won it.
Yay.
Head coach of the year for me is a hard one because I feel like 99% of what would make you eligible for that and what makes a good coach is stuff that we're not going to see. So I don't really have a bunch of notes on that.
It essentially just goes to the team that overperformed the most.
Basically, yeah. But yeah, Spencer Carberry, Washington, beats out Scott Arniel of Winnipeg and Martin St. Louis, Montreal.
Martin St. Louis.
Yeah. Vezina, best goaltender. Anybody want to take a wild guess who won that? I don't think
Ted Lindsay. Oh, we already talked about
that. You can't win MVP as a goaltender and not also get the Vezina. So
Could you imagine?
That'd be wild. That'd be wild.
Like when they announced Hellebuck as a Hart finalist, and it's like, well, we know who won the Vezina.
I almost wish when they presented him, they like gave him the Hart and then just like, yeah, that's it, and then just kind of wrapped it up. And like didn't even give him the Vezina and just make him think, hold on a minute, and then okay, I guess we'll give it. To like mess with him. That would have been great.
And then like the next day they do it, like they wait a whole day where he's like, somehow I won the Hart, not the Vezina. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so Hellebuck beats out Darcy Kemper and Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, nothing there. Ted Lindsay, the player
We've already
MVP.
announced. We already announced that one, though. I'm pretty sure, didn't we? Previously? No. Oh, okay. It's Kucherov.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe we did, but yeah, Nikita Kucherov over Nate Dogg and Cale Makar. This is another one where Colorado had 2 players. I don't like 2 players in the same team being in there. Bill Masterton Trophy, perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. I feel like this is a participation award. Maybe I'm wrong. Awarded to Sean Monahan. That's the one that was presented by Gaudreau's wife, because he and Sean Monahan were best friends.
But what did Sean Monahan even go through, or like how did
Uh, losing his best friend before the season started.
yeah? But that's not
I'm
what
not saying
makes
he
it.
deserves an award for that, but what did he go through?
So did the Columbus Blue Jackets. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
where's their
That's why.
award?
That's why
I
I
just
I preface this with this feels like a participation trophy because I feel like it's just so subjective in every way. Both
I
this
don't know
one
what.
and the next one.
But like, what did he do?
Yeah.
Because it's about also the perseverance, sportsmanship, dedication. What did he do more than Gabriel Landeskog,
Yeah. Yeah.
who spent
Again, the
3 years?
sportsmanship and dedication to hockey to me, I mean, all three of them are very, very subjective, but I don't know that there's any way to quantify those. Perseverance, you can at least semi-quantify, and I agree with you. Because Landeskog was out, what was it, 2.5, 3 years, whatever it was, after getting his knee sliced in half, and comes back. I mean, what did Sean Monahan and Marc-Andre Fleury persevere that were even close to that? I'm not going to disagree with you.
I don't know.
I just don't understand the point of the Masterton or the Lady Bing trophy. Lady Bing.
It's
Sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct.
well, I mean, the Lady Bing makes sense to me because it's about the most sportsmanlike player. It's about rewarding and acknowledging true like good sportsmanship.
Here's
Like,
the problem, though. Sportsmanship is one of the two requirements for both the Masterton and the Lady Bing.
well,
It's
the
listed as a requirement for both.
Masterton's more about the off ice stuff. Lady Bing's more about the on ice stuff.
I mean, that's fair.
That's the difference.
I still don't like either one. Again, they're both super just.
Well, that's because you'd be a
Super
goon out there and
subjective.
you'd never win either one anyway.
Gross. You take that back. Anze Kopitar won it over
Again.
Jack Eichel and Braden Point. I'm like, okay, great.
Kopitar wins it again. And moving on.
So, whatever. So those are our awards. Woo! Stanley Cup Final, everybody. The moment you've been waiting for. This has been probably the most boring and uneventful Stanley Cup in the history of Stanley Cups.
So true. So true.
No, this has
is
been
like,
wild.
don't even watch. Is like this.
Wild. Yeah.
That's why the Oilers lost last year, to give us better content this year.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It has been wild. I have been happy with it. Mostly. We're gonna get into it, of course.
Well, you gotta. All the best things have to have a controversial side.
It's true. It's
have
true.
to have
and
a
none
problem.
of you.
It's about the story.
None of you that actually have been following us should be surprised by what we have to say. We've been talking about it. I've been harping on it all year. But yes, overall, this has been a crazy good series. One of the best series I've ever seen, ever. We're currently tied 2-2. Now, last year, Florida wins 3, Edmonton wins 3. In some ways, that's incredibly exciting.
Yeah, but this time last year, it was 3-1 Florida.
Yeah.
And we were going back to Florida.
Yeah. Overall, games 1 and 2 were very evenly matched. Game 3, really? Florida puts on a clinic and just destroys Edmonton, makes them look silly. And then in Game 4,
I don't think it was Florida.
You can disagree when it's your turn. Oh, yeah, I agree with you, but come on now. But Game 4, it was the complete opposite. I mean, Florida had the first period. Otherwise, Edmonton just made Florida look silly.
Don't turtle. I'll start pulling a Corey Perry on you.
No foreshadowing here, folks. But yes, it's been overall a good series. I feel overall. And again, I've said it.
Even the bad parts have been great.
Yeah,
it's been a
I've
great
said it multiple
series.
times throughout the year. I might be slightly subjective on this because maybe I'm paying more attention to it this year than I normally do. But the jobbing is getting absolutely ridiculous in this finals. Now, we were discussing it before we come on. There's mistakes that are going to happen as far as officiating goes. You expect that. They're humans. It's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. I'm willing to give grace where due. Mistakes happen, missed calls happen. Especially when you get into the playoffs and then you get into the finals. You know, you've got the rule book, that's the standard, and then we say we're going to be a little bit lax with things. We're going to let a little bit more stuff go. Okay, you've now established a new standard. However, what we have seen, and it has not been any more blatant than the first period of game 4, we have taken the standard and we have changed it and said, for one team, you can do whatever the hell you want and get away with it. And the other team, we are not going to call anything for you whatsoever. And it has been the most ridiculous thing that I have seen in watching any sport. I'm trying not to get too upset because it is pissing me off. I have counted 5 instances in this 4-game series so far where Florida players hold Edmonton sticks, pick it up, shove it into their own face, and Edmonton is called for a high stick. I have called 5 of those instances. We had in the first period of game 4, Florida is given 4 power plays. Jake Wallman is shoved into the corner for at least 4 seconds. You have him being hit in the face. You have a stick, as you're demonstrating there, sticks being dragged across his face. And the referees are watching it happen. There is no legitimate way that and of course Florida fans are, oh, Edmonton's dirty, they're just complaining and crying. Get over yourselves, you're full of shit, excuse my language.
I mean, Edmonton is
but,
don't get me wrong.
But
we're the bullies of the West.
There is absolutely no excuse. And it gets worse because shortly after that, I mean, that one, like we were talking about before we started recording today, I'm going out on a limb and doing the best that I can, and I'm willing to give grace on that. Wallman was facing the crowd. Maybe somehow, because he was faced the opposite direction, faced away from the ice, maybe the refs couldn't see that the stick was being literally shoved down his throat for 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Okay, fine. I still think you're full of crap, but I'll give it to you. Same period. You've got Troy Stetcher standing in the opposite corner. He literally gets smacked in the face twice, facing center ice.
Puck, and he
has the puck.
The puck's right there. There's nowhere else to be looking.
Yes, the refs cannot possibly be looking anywhere else. Just I see on camera, there's 2 of them watching this happen. He gets smacked in the mouth twice with a stick. Blatant as can be. Doesn't get called. Florida immediately scores on that.
Yeah, literally. He smacks him twice, passes the puck into the slot goal.
Yeah. The only case that Florida fans can make is quit crying about it. Well, no, I'm not going to quit crying about it because it's absolutely ridiculous. This series is being handed to Florida, and Edmonton has no way of overcoming that, but yet they're doing it anyway. They're literally, and everybody, anytime anything goes wrong, oh, well, we had to play against the refs today. Okay, fine. Everybody's going to have days like that. Everybody's going to be subjective, whatever. I have never seen this bad of a case of this. Now, with that being said, I'm not trying to claim that Edmonton has not gotten away with anything, because they have.
Gotten away with a lot.
Nothing has been anywhere this blatant. And it's getting out of hand. And I don't blame Edmonton halfway through game 3 for just saying, screw it. At this point, we're pissed. We're not going to try to come back in this game. We're not going to win this game. Let's just start throwing fists and beating people up. I don't blame them for getting upset at all, because it has been absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So this leads to my theory, because people will be like, oh, it's rigged. It's not rigged. And I'll tell you my reasons why. One, this would be too hard to script this bad, this atrocious of just nothing. Yeah. Like, it's just, you can't, because it's too in the moment. There's not enough time as these things are happening to mentally process, oh, how can I approach this to a script, to a directive? It's pure I was saying incompetency, but the way you described it was just a lack of intelligence or something. Ineptitude or just such a lack of skill It's just the wrong people have been allowed to be put in these positions that they're so devoid of any ability to do this correctly that they can only but do a terrible job. And so the people selected, the way they've been trained, the way they've been taught is to do that. Because Edmonton literally set a new record again this year for revenue generated. If this was about making money, it would be rigged in Edmonton's favor because we'd be bringing in more money.
Now, let me provide a little bit of context here, just because you brought it up, and I'll explain here what I was talking about earlier, where you were saying it was incompetence, and I was pushing back against that. The reason I'm pushing back, incompetence to me, that implies that you are unable to do your job. You know what the standard is, you are unable to meet that standard. And that is because your skills aren't good enough, or whatever the situation is, there is a standard, you are unable to meet said standard. I don't think this is incompetence, because they have shown that they can make the calls. By no means am I saying that, a lot of the calls that Florida has gotten has been just undisciplined hockey from Edmonton. They have not been angels, and they have put themselves in a lot of bad situations.
Edmonton needs to stop giving opportunities for bad calls to be made. That's been it's not been that Edmonton hasn't been doing things. The penalties against them have been penalties, at least. Yes, there has been some flopping, and so there's been but even the ones that were flops, there was still at least enough of a penalty where I'm like, okay, I can't argue that there wasn't a penalty there, but did you have to did Bobrovsky have to flick his legs up and fall back as though he's free falling off of a cliff? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. After Sam Bennett accidentally elbows Stuart Skinner in the back of the head twice. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm with you. But anyway, back to my point real quick. It's not incompetence, because they know what the standard is, and they have shown that they can meet that standard. I don't like to use the word rigged, because again, that has such a negative connotation. I think you make a very good point. If it was rigged, it would be rigged in Edmonton's favor to try to bring in that money. My problem is, if mistakes are being made, you would expect that it would be a roughly 50-50 split. We're humans. We didn't see something, or we did see something that wasn't there. We made mistakes. It happens. But when every mistake favors one side, just so happens to never favor the other side, at some point you can no longer use the excuse that these are mistakes being made. These are blatant choices being made at this point. That Troy Stetcher getting hit in the face twice, that was not a mistake. There is zero way that can be made to be a mistake. A choice was made. It was seen. They chose not to call it. Now, is it rigged? Is it, we favor one team over the other? Just as a person, I'm a Florida fan. I don't know. I'm not making those claims. But that provides some context to what you were alluding to a minute ago, where I'm pushing back. It's not incompetence. At some point, you're not making mistakes anymore, when every mistake just so happens to favor one side over the other.
Mm-hmm. And I think because we have no ref accountability, because we never get to hear from them themselves, we can't know what the reasoning is. So to me, maybe it's just pride. Like, if we look into how the linesmen just love to kick someone out of the face-up, like they make it all about them. It's seeming like this could be about the refs, especially with how bad so many of the first periods have been, with how many penalties they did. Like, it's they've called in almost every first period. The first 3 games, especially the first period's just been full of penalties. The refs need to have their moment. Apparently, this is about them too. Like, they're not watching just because of the players; they're watching because of them too. I think is how the Angel Reese quote goes.
Angel Reese leading the league in me bounds.
Yeah. I heard they might be making a rule that says that it's a foul to collect the rebound of your own shot. I don't know if that's a meme. Don't quote me. I don't. I saw something about that. I'm like, oh man, if that's true, if this isn't just a meme. Oh man, that's incredible. That's. Anyhow, back to hockey.
Who had WNBA talk on our podcast on your bingo card this morning? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it's just like it. I can only think that, but you don't know, you never know. But thankfully, except for Game 3, the reffing hasn't ruined the game, stopped us from having a nail-bitingly epic, close,
Sure.
cool, stinking cool game.
Sure.
And just like epic things that we are going to remember for the rest of our lives. We're going to tell our grandkids about, like, oh, back in 25. Because, it'll be like 2050. We'll be in the 50s by then. And so we'll be able to say, oh, back in the 20s during the Oilers dynasty of the 20s.
Oh, back in the 20s. I don't like that.
It's gonna be a thing, brother. Like we already say back in the 2000s.
The worst part is I have heard kids say in the late 1900s, and it made me want to deck them. So that's a thing.
Yeah,
but
back in the 90s.
This will be a finals that we remember for a long time. Inside joke between you and me. It's had everything. It's been a good series, but I've got other reasons I'll remember this finals as well. Just gonna, you and I know what we're talking about. We're just gonna leave it there. But there has been more controversy around Edmonton goaltending as well.
Hashtag Skinner is not the problem. Hashtag why do they play better defense in front of Pickard?
I can't figure out, and I went to lunch either yesterday or the day before. I went to lunch with a couple buddies. We were talking about it. I can't figure out what the deal is with Stuart Skinner and the amount of hate that he gets. I'm not going to say he's been perfect. There are plays that he needs to be making that he's not making. But that's true of every. Well, in my point is that is true of every single goalie in the league. When you do something dumb or you don't make a play that you need to play, you deserve to be called out for it. Sure. And so I'm not willing to. As soon as Stuart Skinner gets criticized, automatically everybody's wrong. I'm not willing to go that far with it. Maybe it's just because I'm tuned in more so to Edmonton media and I hear more about it being an Edmonton fan and I hear more about it from you. That might be the case. But I don't hear nearly as much hate for any other goaltender or any other player in any league for that matter. For just not performing than I do for him, and I can't figure it out. It's really, really strange to me. Again, he's not the best goaltender in the league. He does make some mistakes here and there, but he is left out to dry so freaking often.
I'll give you 2 reasons.
I can't figure it. Please.
One,
please.
Edmonton has always been like this to their goalies. This is not. This did not start with Skinner. This will not end with him.
Sure.
This is just the way Edmonton treats its goalies because Edmonton fans are idiots and they don't understand defense and how much of, like, it just a goal goes in. Like, Edmonton's dumb enough that they would blame an empty net goal on the goalie. That's how dumb sometimes our fans are when it comes to goaltending, and they just don't understand. And analysts don't do a great job either at explaining. They're just like, oh, if goals went in, that must be bad. If they didn't go in, that must be good. Look at the Dallas series. Game 1, I thought Skinner played way better than he did in Game 2. But in Game 1, 5 goals were scored on him. In Game 2, 0. Like, there's so much about not the goalie that gets there. And then second, the other thing is the Oilers just seem to play differently in front of Skinner right now. Defensively. Like, it seems like they trust him too much. That's a 26-year-old rookie.
That's an interesting take. Because that's something I've noticed as well, that the defense in front of Pickard is they're a completely different team.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, whether it's, a mental thing, whether it's confidence, whether hell, if it's black magic, I don't care what the reasoning is. They're a completely different team when they play in front of Calvin Pickard. And for that reason, I think he needs to be the starting goaltender for the rest of this series. But whatever it is, and that very well could be it. Maybe they just have too much confidence in Stuart Skinner, and they're just saying, "Oh, well, we can slack because he'll pick up the slack," and they're just hanging him out to dry. That could be an explanation for it, but they're screwing the guy.
Like let's just look at game 4 here for a moment. If we look at the shots, if we just want to go based off of shots, if we don't even look at the type of shots, the type of chances, and everything else that happened in the game, Florida had 17 shots in the first period, 19 across the following 2.
Yeah.
They had half of their shots in regulation time in the first against Skinner. They had 3 power plays, one of them being a 5-on-3 in that first period.
For a quick piece of context for anybody who may not know, Skinner started the game. He played the first. Pickard played the second and the third.
Thank you.
So,
yes.
Skinner had 1 period and had just as many shots against as Pickard did in 2.
Yeah. And look how many power plays Florida had. 4. 3 of them were in the first period against Skinner. The first goal they scored was Tkachuk shooting around 3 screens, low blocker.
Yeah.
After he'd faked going to the glove side, moving to the glove side, so Skinner's looking that side. Tkachuk moves behind the screens, shoots, low blocker. Okay. The second goal was a shot from the point from the slot that Skinner got, but it was knuckled because the guy fanned on it, whiffed the first time, then shot the second time, knuckling it. So good luck catching that shot. And so then it pops out. Everyone's swinging at it, and it pops just far back enough for Tkachuk to tap it in. And Skinner gets a piece of it, but not enough to stop it. And then the third one,
he almost makes a play that he had no right making.
Yeah. And then the third goal was the one that we talked about where Stetcher gets hit in the face twice with a stick.
Yeah.
And then it gets popped out to a guy zooming in all alone right in front of the net. Like, this is just... I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's
Go
not...
back to game 3. I mean, when Marchand is given 2 opportunities where he's alone in center ice, he's able to cherry pick, and it's Marchand versus Skinner. Twice in the same game. Blame those on Skinner. A 1-on-1, I mean, I just assume it's always going in the favor of the goal scorer.
Well,
those weren't even the worst 2 of that game that they set him up to fail.
No. Well, and that's the thing. Like, if we want to talk about the Marchand ones in game 2, the player that you give the breakaway to matters more than the fact that there is a breakaway, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because certain players are so clutch and make magic happen in awkward scenarios. And the times it happened, the Marchand ones where one was shorthanded. So, again, you're not even expecting more. So then to be facing a guy like Marchand that's proven things time to time in a bad scenario. And then the second breakaway was in double overtime. Like, you're tired.
Yeah.
You almost get it, but it's just not enough. And it's like, what are you supposed to do?
And
but Knobloch understood. The thing is, we complain about this, that the Oilers just, whether it's they trust Skinner too much and let him have worse situations than he should, than is fair, or whatnot. Knobloch knew what would happen if he swapped them. He didn't blame Skinner. None of them do. Any of them that have commented on it have said, like, we hung him out to dry. But they played differently for the guy, and it got the win. So great on Knobloch, great on the boys for adjusting, and great on Pickard for all the saves he made when he had to. That save on Bennett in overtime that hit his glove and then the crossbar, I thought it was over. I thought it was 3-1 again, just like last year. And I'm like, I mean, I thought that at the end of the first where I was sitting there, I'm going, I want to go home.
You almost turned it off,
Well, I was
that's right.
I was at the arena watch party. I'm like, I paid money for this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, the results are what matters. I think Skinner needs to be riding the bench. purely because the team plays better. This is not a knock on Skinner. In
He
the
made
zero point
incredible
zero zero
saves.
zero 1% chance, Stu, that you're watching this, I've got your back. I'm not crapping on you. This is not your fault. But if the team's going to play better with Pickard, I don't care what we have to do. Make it happen. At this point, I want Stu riding the bench. I mean, that's just the position we're in. It's not fair, but it is what it is. So,
Well, yeah, like whatever happens, happens. And the thing is, they're a tandem. That's the situation. Edmonton pays $3.6 million combined for their goaltending. Like they're not,
which is crazy.
Yeah, and you're getting something where either goalie can get you a win, which is fantastic. And the times where we've lost hasn't really been the goal, either hasn't at all or hasn't really been the goalie's fault.
Sure.
So it's
now let me give you something a little bit more fun, a little bit more uplifting here. We've had 3 out of the 4 games in this series go to overtime. In this postseason, Leon Draisaitl is making a name for himself. He has set an all-time NHL record for most overtime goals in a. Oh no, you have a meme for this. So do I. That's the problem. What do you got for me?
No, you finish what you're saying. You finish what you're saying, and then I'll show.
Okay. Well, he has set an all-time NHL record for most postseason goals in a single postseason. He's got 4.
My man, Leon Al-Gaib.
Okay. I haven't seen those movies, so.
Well, now you've ruined
That's
it.
Dune, right?
That is Dune.
That's Dune.
And the chosen one's Lisan Al-Gaib, and that's the guy that's that's like the announcer guy who at first is a doubter, and then he sees the guy that Timothée Chalamet is playing, and he sees him fulfilling the prophecies, and he's like, Lisan Al-Gaib. And then he just goes around telling one, he's Lisan Al-Gaib. And so my friend last night sent me this, and it's like, Leon Al-Gaib. But this was before Draisaitl scored the OT winner too. So it's Leon Al-Gaib.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Well, thanks for ruining my thunder.
I'm sorry.
What's your name?
I'll make it up to you. I'll make it up to you here. So he's got 4 overtime goals this postseason. I decided this might be fun. Let's just look at the postseason stats for every player that played in the postseason and sort it by goals. Mm-hmm. Now, every player in the postseason, NHL.com lists 50 players per page. There were 7 pages. I only went through pages 1 through 3. And some of the notable names that the entire postseason scored less than 4 goals. Austin Matthews, Kevin Fiala, Max Domi, William Karlsson, Cole Perfetti, Tomas Hertl, Valeri Nichushkin, Mitch Marner, Ryan Hartman, Taylor Hall, Marco Rossi, Braden Shen, Braden Point, Jack Eichel.
Sorry,
Matt Duchene.
What did all these people not do again? Sorry,
not score 4 goals in the entire postseason.
Yeah.
Yes. So Jack Eichel, Matt Duchene, Marty Necas, Cale Makar scored 1 goal this postseason.
I mean,
Mason
to be fair, Cale Makar only played 7 games.
Sure.
And he's
Mason Marchment, Miro Heiskanen.
Some of those players played enough games.
I only went through 3 pages.
Yes.
And yes, I
think we have to be fair to how many.
I tried to leverage it to players that went deeper. There are some that didn't. I tried to leverage it towards the players that made it to the 2nd or 3rd round. But Leon Draisaitl has more overtime goals than all of those players had goals.
I mean, he's also had more overtime goals in a single postseason than anyone has ever had.
Yes. But we're not comparing overtime to overtime. We're comparing his overtime to their entirety.
Mm-hmm. Now, to be fair to those other people, again, do you know how many overtime goals in the playoffs Leon had in his career before this year?
1. I don't know.
0. He
Okay.
never scored
Yeah.
a playoff overtime goal.
That's fair. That's fair.
But, I mean,
That's
are
fair.
we really surprised? He scored a buttload of OT winners in the regular season, too. This is just what he does this year. He's clutch.
It's true.
He's my Conn Smythe pick right now, man.
Yeah. And I don't know that you can make the again. You cannot make the argument that anybody else deserves it, in my opinion.
If
Just
Edmonton
for the
wins,
magic
he should get the Conn Smythe.
Even if they don't, unless they completely get blown out for 2 more games,
you can't give the Conn Smythe to an Edmonton player again if Florida wins.
I disagree.
You can't do that 2 years. Not like you were able to get away with it last year because McDavid had a historic performance in the season. He literally broke Gretzky records. This isn't breaking Gretzky records though. And overtime winners.
Records.
Yeah, but overtime winners. Yeah, it's a cool stat, but it's not as long lasting. I think it's not as an all encompassing thing as McDavid's postseason performance last year.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Like he set a record in points.
I don't.
You either got to give it to Bobrovsky or Bennett, for if Florida wins. Like it has to go to one of them. You can't do.
You can sell me on Bobrovsky. I don't think you're selling me on Bennett. Yeah, again,
You want to go to goals?
He can absolutely be in the conversation. Yeah, he can absolutely be in the conversation. You're not selling me yet. But that's neither here nor there. We still got a few games to go before that even happens.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we won't have to.
First time a team has come back and won after being 3 down or down 3-0
in a Stanley Cup
in a finals. Yeah. So that's wild. So
also after last night, Florida does have 9 forwards with 15 or more points. Or 15 to 21. That's the range. That's
depth.
I mean, Edmonton's depth's been really good and showed up last night as well. But just how even all the scoring has been across all the Florida players.
Oh yeah.
Versus McDavid and Draisaitl having 32 points each.
Yeah. Edmonton they're in that weird situation where their depth is crazy, but they also, of course, when you have the 2 best players in the league, it's going to be top heavy still. So they kind of have both. But anyway,
I'm okay with it.
I feel like I've complained enough.
Still amazing game.
It's been fun though.
I've loved the comebacks.
It really is.
The adversity and the struggle and how real the threat each team has been to each other and just how good. Even if you get even if you just for a second ignore the dirty stuff or the controversial stuff, the sheer volume of awesome hockey and awesome plays and just awesome everything that exists is unmatched.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go, maybe it's on a limb, maybe it's not, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to say, because we got 3 games left, Edmonton, Florida, Edmonton. And I'm going to say home team's winning all 3 of those games. Like we're going to game 7, Edmonton will win the 2 at home, Florida will win theirs at home.
Okay.
So there's my prediction. But game 5 tomorrow night. By the time y'all see this, it'll be tonight. If you're not watching it, you're screwing it up. You are doing it wrong. Because this has been a crazy series.
I have no predictions to give. I can't. I don't know.
That's fair.
Like it's just. I've said it before and I've said it again. Like with Edmonton, they don't care when you score because they're just still gonna score. So if you score your goals first, great. They're gonna then score their goals and they'll win. If they score their goals first and then you do, that's fine. They're still gonna win. Like last night is yet just the most recent example of them not caring when you score.
Basically.
They don't give a hoot. They don't give a toot. And they'll still give you the boot.
Oh, all right. We're ending on that.
Yeah,
Can't get any better than that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us this week. We will see you next week to wrap up the end of the finals. We'll crown our new champion, and we'll start to look forward to the offseason. And until then,
Hopefully
some
next
games.
week you'll be seeing this painted and complete.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Because all the
That'll
pieces
be
are
nice.
complete. We're currently in the process of gluing.
I like it. I like it.
But I'll make sure
So
to
we'll
have
have a
gloves
Stanley Cup.
before. By the time it's done, I'll make sure to be wearing gloves, so I'm not touching it until it's time.
There you go. There you go. So we'll have a Stanley Cup presentation. Hopefully, if Florida wins it, I'm not presenting anything. So hopefully we'll have a presentation there. But we'll see you all next week.
Bye.